My husband spent $80,000 on his mistress while I ate ramen noodles for dinner. But what I found when I finally started digging changed everything. I'm Margaret. Everyone calls me Maggie. I'm 68 years old. I've been married to Robert for 42 years. And until 6 months ago, I thought I was lucky to have him. Robert is 71. A successful CPA with his own firm, the kind of man who handles everything. The finances, the decisions, the future. For 42 years, I trusted him completely. Never questioned, never looked at a bank statement, never even knew how much money we had. That's what good wives of my generation did. We trusted our husbands. Let them handle the complicated things like money and investments. We kept the house, raised the children, made dinner, smiled at business parties, and felt grateful we had someone to take care of us. I stopped working in 1984 when I got pregnant with our son Brian. I was 26 years old. A secretary making $18,000 a year. Robert said it made more sense for me to stay home. I agreed. That's what women did back then. It wasn't even a question. 42 years later, I'm still home. Our children are in their 40s. Our grandchildren are teenagers and young adults. And I'm still the woman who keeps the house, makes dinner, stays quiet, feels grateful. Robert gives me $250 a week for groceries and household expenses. Has for years. I thanked him every time. Never complained that it wasn't enough. Never mentioned that I sometimes skipped meals so the budget would stretch. Before I tell you what happened, I need to know you're listening. Drop your city or country in the comments. And please subscribe for real stories about real women, because what I discovered about my husband, about our marriage, about the last 42 years of my life, it broke me. Then it saved me. And it started with a box of ramen noodles and a doctor's appointment I almost didn't go to. Stay with me. Because this story isn't just about me. It's about every woman who ever made herself small, who trusted completely, who believed she was lucky just to be chosen. We weren't lucky. We were lied to, and it's time to tell the truth. I met Robert in the fall of 1982 at a church social in Minneapolis. I was 25 years old, working as a secretary at a law firm downtown, making $18,000 a year, living in a studio apartment in Uptown, independent but lonely. Robert was 28, just passed his CPA exam, working at a mid-sized accounting firm, ambitious, confident. He wore nice suits, drove a decent car, had plans for the future. When he asked me to dinner, I felt chosen, special. A man like Robert could have anyone, and he chose me. Our first date was at Murray's Steakhouse in downtown Minneapolis. Fancy, expensive. Robert ordered wine, talked about his career goals. He wanted to open his own firm someday, be his own boss, make real money. What about you? He asked. What are your plans? I don't know. Keep working, I guess. Maybe get promoted to executive secretary someday. You ever think about getting married? Having kids? Sure, someday, if I meet the right person. He smiled, reached across the table, took my hand. Maybe you just did. We got married in June 1983, small ceremony at Our Lady of Grace Catholic Church. My parents, his mother, a few friends, simple, traditional, the beginning of forever. Robert was making $35,000 a year at his firm. I was still making $18,000. We rented a 2-bedroom apartment in Bloomington, started saving for a house, planning our future. I got pregnant in early 1984. We were thrilled, a little scared, but ready. Robert sat me down one evening in March, held my hands, looked serious. Maggie, I've been thinking, once the baby comes, it doesn't make financial sense for you to keep working. Childcare costs almost as much as you make, and I want our child raised by his mother, not some stranger. But I like working, having my own money. You'll have money. Our money. What's mine is yours. That's what marriage means. And honestly, honey, my career is taking off. I'm up for senior accountant. That's a $20,000 raise. We'll be fine on my salary. More than fine. He made it sound so reasonable, so logical, and part of me was relieved. Being a working mother seemed exhausting. Everyone said so. My own mother had struggled with it. Come home tired, guilty, stretched too thin. You're sure we can afford it? Absolutely. I'll take care of everything. The finances. The future. You take care of our home. Our baby. Deal? Deal. I quit my job in April 1984, 2 months before Brian was born. My boss threw me a little party, cake in the break room, a card everyone signed. Good luck with the baby. I felt proud. I was going to be a full-time mother, The way it was supposed to be. The way good mothers did it. Brian was born in June 1984. Beautiful, perfect, demanding. Motherhood was harder than I'd expected. The sleepless nights, the constant needs, the way my entire identity became Brian's mom. Robert worked long hours, building his career. He'd come home at 7 or 8, tired, wanting dinner ready, the house clean, the baby quiet. "Maggie, what did you do all day?" "The house is a mess. I had the baby. He's been fussy. I've been feeding him and changing him and trying to get him to nap. But you're home all day. I work all day and still have to come home to this chaos. You need to manage your time better." I started waking up at 5 a.m., getting everything done before Brian woke up. So Robert would come home to order, to peace, to a wife who'd done her job. Robert got his promotion in 1985, senior accountant. $45,000 a year? We bought our first house in Edina, 3 bedrooms, small yard, starter home. Robert handled all the paperwork, all the finances. I signed where he told me to sign. "You don't need to worry about this stuff," he'd say. "I've got it handled. Just focus on Brian and the house." I was grateful. Robert was so competent, so in control. I didn't understand mortgages or interest rates or property taxes. Better to let him handle it. Melissa was born in 1988, another baby. More work, more exhaustion, more of my identity disappearing into motherhood. Robert made partner at his firm in 1990, $60,000 a year. We were doing well, moving up, living the American dream, but I felt invisible. I'd go to Robert's work parties, stand next to him while he talked to colleagues, partners, clients. Nobody asked me what I did. Because what I did didn't matter. I was just Robert's wife, the woman who stayed home. "This is my wife, Margaret," Robert would say. "She takes care of our home, our children, keeps everything running smoothly so I can focus on work." It sounded like a compliment, but it felt like erasure, like I was furniture, functional, necessary, but not interesting, not important. Robert started giving me an allowance in the early 90s, $50 a week for groceries and household expenses. "This way you can budget better," he explained. "I'll handle the bills, the mortgage, the important stuff. You just manage the household expenses. Keep track of what you spend." I kept a little notebook, wrote down every purchase. Milk $3, bread $2.50. Tried to make $50 stretch for a family of 4. Learned to buy store brands, clip coupon, shop sales. When I needed more money, I had to ask, "Robert, I need another $20. Brian needs new shoes already. I just gave you $50 this week, I know. But groceries were expensive and the shoes are necessary." He'd sigh, pull out his wallet, hand me a 20, like he was doing me a favor. Like it wasn't our money, like I was a child asking for an advance on my allowance. By 1995, I'd been out of the workforce for 11 years. Brian was 11, Melissa was 7, both in school. I had hours alone in the house, empty hours, quiet hours, hours where I wondered who I was besides Robert's wife, Brian and Melissa's mother. I thought about going back to work. Mentioned it to Robert one evening. Go back to work? Doing what? "Maggie, you've been out of the workforce for over a decade. Who's going to hire a 38-year-old former secretary? And for what? Minimum wage? It's not worth it. I just thought maybe I could contribute. Have something of my own." "You do contribute. You keep our home. Raise our children. That's valuable. Don't diminish what you do by trying to be something you're not. Something I wasn't. I used to be a secretary, independent, self-sufficient. Now, I was something I wasn't sure how to define. Robert opened his own CPA firm in 98, finally achieved his dream, hired staff, got an office in downtown Minneapolis, started making real money. Over $100,000 a year. My allowance went up to $75 a week. I was supposed to feel grateful, blessed, lucky to have a husband who provided so well, and I did feel grateful. That's what scared me most. I'd learned to be grateful for crumbs, for money that was legally half mine but felt like charity, for a life that was comfortable but empty. By 2000, I was 43 years old, married 17 years, 2 teenagers, a nice house in Edina, a successful husband, everything I was supposed to want. But I felt like I was disappearing, fading into wallpaper, becoming invisible even to myself. Robert barely looked at me anymore, barely talked to me about anything except household logistics. Did I pay the electric bill? When was Melissa's dentist appointment? What was for dinner? I was a manager, an administrator, Not a wife, not a partner, just the person who kept things running while Robert lived his life. I didn't know then that it would get worse. That the next 25 years would take me from invisible to erased, from grateful to desperate, from wife to burden. I didn't know that the man I trusted completely was building a secret life I knew nothing about. A life funded by money I didn't know we had. While I clipped coupons and bought store-brand cereal and felt lucky to have $75 a week. But I'd learn, eventually, painfully, and when I did, everything would change. The new millennium didn't bring the fresh start everyone talked about. It brought more of the same. More invisibility, more shrinking, more trying to be enough when I'd never been enough to begin with. Robert's firm grew steadily through the early 2000s. More clients, more staff, more money. He worked longer hours, came home later, talked less, looked at me even less than that. My allowance stayed at $75 a week until 2005. 11 years. While everything got more expensive, gas prices went up, groceries went up, everything went up except what Robert gave me. I'd stand in the grocery store doing math in my head. If I buy the cheaper bread, I can afford milk. If I skip the fruit this week, I can buy chicken. If I eat less, everyone else can eat more. I started skipping breakfast. Told myself it was healthier. Intermittent fasting before that was even a thing. But really it was because $75 didn't stretch far enough for 4 people. 3 people could eat well. 4 meant someone went without. That someone was always me. Brian graduated high school in 2002, got into University of Minnesota. We were so proud. Robert wrote the tuition checks without blinking. $20,000 a year. Then 25. Then 30 as tuition increased. I asked Robert if I could see our bank statements, just to understand how we could afford it. Why do you need to see them? I told you we're fine. I've been planning for this. Trust me. I do trust you. I'm just curious how much we have, how much we're spending. Maggie, you don't need to worry about this. Your job is the house. My job is the money. We each do our part. Don't cross lanes, don't cross lanes. Like I was an employee, not a partner. Not a wife, just someone with a specific role who needed to stay in it. Melissa graduated high school in 2006. Also went to University of Minnesota. More tuition, more expenses. Robert handled it all. Never asked me, never showed me anything. Just wrote checks and expected me to trust. I turned 50 in 2007, half a century old. 2 kids in college, an empty house. A husband who barely spoke to me. An allowance of $75 a week that hadn't increased in 12 years. I looked at myself in the mirror on my birthday. Gray hair starting to show, wrinkles around my eyes. Weight I couldn't lose no matter how little I ate. A woman I barely recognized. Robert forgot my birthday that year. Came home at 8 p.m., no card, no cake, no acknowledgement. Was there something special today? I asked. Not that I know of. Why? It's my birthday. Oh, right, sorry, honey. Work was crazy. Happy birthday. He didn't even hug me. Just turned on the TV, watched the news, ate the dinner I'd made. Went to bed. I cried in the bathroom, quietly, so he wouldn't hear. Felt pathetic for crying over a forgotten birthday. Women my age weren't supposed to need that kind of validation. We were supposed to be beyond such things, but I wasn't beyond it. I needed to be seen, remembered, valued, and I was none of those things. My friend Betty noticed. We'd been friends since our kids were in elementary school. She was divorced, had been for 10 years, independent, strong, everything I wasn't. We met for coffee one afternoon in 2008 at Caribou Coffee in Edina. I ordered black coffee. Cheapest thing on the menu. Why don't you get a latte? Betty asked. You always get black coffee. I like black coffee. Maggie, I've known you 20 years. You hate black coffee. You like lattes with caramel. They're expensive. $5 for coffee seems silly. You can't afford $5 for coffee? Robert gives me $75 a week for groceries and household expenses. Coffee isn't in the budget. Betty stared at me. $75? For everything? It's fine. I make it work. Maggie, that's not fine. Robert's a CPA with his own firm. He's making what, $200,000 a year? More? And he gives you $75 a week? He handles the finances. He knows what we can afford. Do you know what you can afford? Have you ever seen a bank statement? A tax return? No, but I trust Robert. Betty's expression was something between pity and anger. Honey, that's not trust. That's control. And it's not okay. You don't understand. Robert works hard, provides for us. I'm lucky to have him. You're not lucky. You're isolated, financially abused, and you don't even see it. I left that coffee date shaken, defensive, but also something else. A tiny seed of doubt, a small crack in the wall of trust I'd built around Robert financial abuse. Was that what this was? Or was Betty overreacting, projecting her bad marriage onto mine? I pushed the thoughts away, focused on being grateful, being a good wife, being enough. Robert's firm continued growing. By 2010, he had 15 employees, an office suite in a downtown high-rise, important clients, real success. He started traveling more. Conferences in Chicago, client meetings in Denver, continuing education in Las Vegas. He was gone 2 or 3 nights a week sometimes. I'd eat dinner alone, watch TV alone, sleep alone in our king-size bed feeling small and forgotten. When he was home, he was distant, on his phone, on his laptop, present physically but absent in every other way. I tried, made his favorite meals, wore nice clothes, lost weight, dyed my gray hair, tried to be attractive, interesting, worth looking at. Nothing worked. He barely noticed, barely touched me. We hadn't had sex in over a year, maybe 2. I'd stopped counting, stopped hoping. My allowance finally went up to $100 a week in 2012. Robert announced it like he was doing me a huge favor. I know things have gotten more expensive. So I'm increasing your household allowance to $100 a week. That should help. Thank you. I said it automatically, grateful, like a child given a raise in their allowance, not a wife asking for access to her own money. Brian got married in 2013. Beautiful wedding at the Minicata Club. Expensive. Robert wrote a check for $30,000. Didn't even blink. $30,000 for a wedding. $100 a week for me to live on. The math didn't add up, but I didn't question it. Didn't ask. Just smiled and played mother of the groom and pretended everything was fine. Melissa got engaged in 2014. More wedding planning. More expenses Robert handled without involving me. Her wedding was in 2015. Another $30,000. Another check written easily. I was 58 years old. Both kids married. Grandchildren on the way. An empty nest that felt emptier than I'd imagined possible. Robert was 61, semi-retired, working 3 days a week. Playing golf the other days. Going to the gym. Having lunch with friends. Living a full, active life. I was home. Alone. Cleaning a house that didn't need cleaning. Cooking meals for one. Watching daytime TV. Feeling myself disappear a little more each day. Betty tried to stay close. Invited me to things. Lunch, movies, book club. But I always had an excuse. Too expensive. Too far. Too busy. Really, I was too ashamed. Ashamed of my life. My marriage. Myself. Robert barely spoke to me by 2015. When he did, it was logistics. Did you call the plumber? When's the HOA meeting? What's for dinner? Never how are you? Never what do you think? Never I love you. I was 60 years old and I'd become a ghost in my own life. Present but unseen. Functional but irrelevant. Alive but not living. I didn't know that Robert was spending money I couldn't imagine, on things I wouldn't believe, with someone I'd never suspect. I didn't know that while I was eating cheaper and cheaper food, trying to stretch $100 a week, he was spending thousands. Tens of thousands. On a life that didn't include me, but I was about to find out. And when I did, the ghost would have to become real again, or disappear completely. Things got worse after the kids were married. I thought an empty nest would bring Robert and me closer, give us time to reconnect, rediscover each other, fall in love again like the marriage book said. Instead, the emptiness just got louder. And Robert got further away. He hired a new office manager in late 2015. Her name was Amber. 42 years, old, divorced, professional, efficient. Robert mentioned her occasionally. Amber reorganized the filing system. So much better. Amber suggested a new client management software. She's really on top of things. Amber is handling the conference in Phoenix. Taking a lot off my plate, I was glad he had good help. Running a firm was stressful. If Amber made things easier, that was good. I didn't think anything of it. I should have. Robert started traveling more in 2016, conferences every other month, client meetings that required overnight stays, continuing education seminars in different cities. I'll be in Denver Tuesday through Thursday. Phoenix this weekend for that tax conference. Chicago next week. Important client dinner. He'd come home with stories about boring seminars and hotel conference rooms. I never questioned it, never asked for details, never wondered why he needed so many trips. My allowance stayed at $100 a week. But groceries kept getting more expensive. Eggs that used to be $2 were now $4. Milk was $5. Bread was $4. Ground beef was $7 a pound. $100 didn't go as far as it used to. I started making choices. Cheaper cuts of meat. More pasta. More beans and rice. Less fresh vegetables. Whatever stretched furthest. Robert never noticed what we ate. He'd eat whatever I put in front of him. Barely tasted it. Usually on his phone during dinner anyway. I turned 65 in 2020. Retirement age. Not that I'd ever worked long enough to retire from anything, but still, 65 felt significant. Old. A milestone I'd reached while being completely invisible. Robert was 68. He'd officially retired from active practice in 2019, kept the firm running with a managing partner, drew a salary for doing almost nothing, played golf 4 times a week, had lunch with friends, went to the gym, lived a full, active retirement while I sat home in an empty house wondering what I was retiring from. Being a wife? Being a mother? Being a person? The pandemic hit in March 2020. Everyone locked down. Robert was home constantly. 24 hours a day. No golf, no lunches, no gym, just home. With me, trapped, it was suffocating. He was irritated constantly, complained about everything. The house was too small. I was too loud. The TV was too boring. The meals were too repetitive. Can you make something different for dinner? We've had chicken 3 times this week. That's all I could afford with the groceries. Well, figure it out. I'm tired of eating the same things. Maybe if I had a little more for groceries. Maggie, we're on a fixed income now. Social Security, my retirement draw. We have to be careful. You need to budget better. Fixed income. That's what he told me. We had to be careful. Cut back. Make do with less. I believed him. Cut back even more. Started shopping at discount grocery stores, buying dented cans and day-old bread. Whatever was cheapest. Robert never went to the grocery store. Never saw what I was buying. Never noticed I was eating less and less so he could eat normal amounts. By 2021, I'd lost 15 pounds. Not on purpose. Just from not eating enough. My clothes hung loose. My face looked gaunt. My hair was thinning. Betty noticed when we finally met for lunch after the lockdowns ended. Maggie, you've lost weight. Are you okay? I'm fine. Just getting older. Metabolism slowing down. You look thin. Too thin. Are you eating enough? Of course. I'm fine, but I wasn't fine. I was tired all the time. Dizzy sometimes. My doctor noticed at my annual checkup in late 2021. Mrs. Thompson, your weight is down significantly. 15 pounds since last year. Are you eating regularly? Yes, I just haven't been very hungry. Your blood pressure is elevated. Your iron is low. These are signs of malnutrition. I need you to eat more, better nutrition, more protein, more vegetables. I'll try. Are you having financial difficulties? Food insecurity? There are programs that can help. No, we're fine. My husband is a CPA. We're comfortable. The doctor looked skeptical, but didn't push. I left with instructions to eat better. Instructions I couldn't follow because better food cost more money. And I only had $100 a week. Robert's trip started again in 2022 once COVID restrictions lifted. Phoenix, Denver, Las Vegas, Chicago, always somewhere, always overnight. Sometimes 3 or 4 days, I'd be alone in the house, eating ramen noodles for dinner, watching TV, waiting for him to come home. He'd return with gifts sometimes. For our grandchildren. Expensive toys. Designer clothes, things that cost more than my weekly allowance. Where did you get the money for that? I asked once. What do you mean? It's our money? I can buy gifts for our grandkids. I just meant it's expensive. I thought we had to be careful. We do have to be careful. With household expenses, day-to-day things. But I'm not going to be cheap with my grandchildren. That's different. Somehow buying a $300 toy was fine, but me asking for an extra $20 for groceries was wasteful. I stopped asking, stopped mentioning money, just made the $100 work, or tried to. Ramen became a regular dinner, cheap, filling, 3 packets for $2. I could eat ramen and save the meat and vegetables for Robert. He never knew, never asked what I ate when he wasn't home. My friend Betty came to visit in early 2023. I was 66. She was 68. We sat in my kitchen drinking tea. She looked around, noticed things I didn't think were noticeable. Maggie, when's the last time you went grocery shopping? Yesterday. Why? Your fridge is almost empty. I see condiments and leftovers. Where's the food? I shop for what we need. Robert and I don't eat much. You don't eat much, or you can't afford much? Betty, please. We're fine. Are you? Because you've lost more weight. You look exhausted, and I'm worried about you. There's nothing to worry about. Robert handles the finances. We're comfortable. We have everything we need. Do you? Do you have everything you need? I didn't answer, because the answer was no. I didn't have everything I needed. I didn't have enough food, enough money, enough anything, but admitting that meant admitting I'd been wrong. That Betty had been right back in 2008 when she said this was financial abuse. That I'd wasted 40 years trusting a man who didn't deserve it. I wasn't ready to admit that. Wasn't ready to face what that would mean, so I smiled. Changed the subject. Sent Betty home thinking I was okay, but I wasn't okay. I was 66 years old, eating ramen noodles to survive, while my husband traveled to conferences and bought expensive gifts and told me we had to be careful with money. Something was wrong. Deeply fundamentally wrong. I could feel it. But I was too scared to look, too scared to ask questions, too scared to discover what 40 years of trust had been hiding. That fear would last another year, until a doctor's appointment in March 2024 would force me to finally face the truth. But in early 2023, I was still in denial. Still making ramen. Still believing Robert when he said we had to be careful. Still disappearing, one skipped meal at a time. March 2024 started like any other month. Cold, gray, ordinary. I was 68 years old. Robert was 71. We'd been married 41 years. And I was about to discover that almost everything I believed was a lie. It started with a doctor's appointment. My annual checkup with Dr. Patricia Morrison at Health Partners Clinic in Edina. I almost canceled. Robert was in Phoenix for a conference. I'd have to take an Uber. That was expensive. $15 each way. $30 total. Almost a third of my weekly allowance. But Betty insisted. Called me the night before. Maggie, you're going to that appointment. I'll drive you. Pick you up at 9. She didn't give me a choice. Picked me up in her Toyota. Drove me to the clinic. Came inside with me. Sat in the waiting room like a guard dog, making sure I didn't run. Dr. Morrison was 62, kind, direct. She'd been my doctor for 15 years. Knew my history, and she was worried. Margaret, your weight is down another 8 pounds. That's 23 pounds in 3 years. Your blood pressure is concerning. Your iron is very low. And frankly, you look exhausted. I'm just getting older. That's normal. This isn't normal aging. This is malnutrition. Chronic stress. I need to understand what's happening. Are you eating 3 meals a day? I hesitated. Dr. Morrison noticed. Margaret, I need you to be honest with me. What did you eat yesterday? Coffee for breakfast. Some crackers for lunch. Dinner. What was dinner? Ramen noodles. And the day before? Similar. The day before that? I started crying. Right there in the exam room. 68 years old, crying because my doctor was asking what I ate. Because the answer was so shameful, I couldn't say it out loud. Dr. Morrison handed me tissues. Waited. When I could speak, she asked quietly, Margaret, are you being financially abused? No, my husband handles our money. We're on a fixed income. We have to be careful. What does careful mean? How much money do you have access to? Robert gives me $100 a week for groceries and household expenses. $100? For everything? Yes. And your husband? What's his profession? He's a CPA, retired now. But he has his own firm. A managing partner runs it. Dr. Morrison was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that changed everything. Margaret, I want you to do something for me. When you get home, I want you to look for financial documents. Bank statements, credit card bills, tax returns, anything. And I want you to really look at them. Because something doesn't add up. A retired CPA with his own firm should not have a wife who's malnourished because she can't afford groceries. Betty drove me home, walked me inside, made me tea, sat at my kitchen table, and said what she'd been wanting to say for 15 years. Maggie, Dr. Morrison is right. This is abuse, financial abuse, and you need to wake up and see it. Robert provides for us. He's not abusive. He gives you $100 a week while he travels to conferences and buys $300 toys. That's abuse, and I think it's worse than you know. I think he's hiding something. Like what? I don't know. But you need to find out. Robert was in Phoenix until Friday. It was Tuesday. I had 3 days. 3 days to do what I'd never done in 41 years. Look at our finances without permission. I started in Robert's study. The room I was never supposed to enter. His private space. His office at home. I'd cleaned in there occasionally but never touched his desk. Never looked in drawers. Never questioned the locked filing cabinet. The desk was neat, organized. A laptop I didn't know the password to. A stack of mail. Bills mostly. I started going through them. Electric bill, water bill, HOA fees. Nothing unusual. Then I found one that made my hands shake. A credit card statement. Citibank. Account ending in 4782 in Robert's name. The address was our house, but I'd never seen this card. Never even knew it existed. I opened it. March 2024 statement. And my world tilted sideways. Tiffany & Co., 4200 Nordstrom, 1-800 The St. Regis Phoenix, 2400 Mastros. Steakhouse, 340 Flowers, 175. The charges went on and on. Page after page. The total for March alone was $18,600, $18,000. In 1 month? On one credit card I didn't know existed while I was eating ramen noodles. While Dr. Morrison was telling me I was malnourished. While Robert was telling me we had to be careful because we were on a fixed income. I found more statements in the desk drawer. February, January, December. Going back months. Every month $15,000 to $20,000. Jewelry, expensive hotels, designer clothes, restaurants. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the papers. I called Betty. I found something. What? Credit card statements. Robert's spending thousands. Every month. Tens of thousands. On things I don't understand. I'm coming over. Betty was there in 15 minutes. We spread the statements across my kitchen table. 6 months of charges, over $90,000. This is an affair, Betty said. These aren't business expenses. Look, Tiffany jewelry, Nordstrom women's department, hotels on weekends. This is another woman. No, Robert wouldn't. We've been married 41 years. Maggie, look at the evidence. Really look, I looked. Saw what I'd been refusing to see. The trips, the distance, the way he barely touched me, barely spoke to me. How invisible I'd become. Not because I was old. Not because I was boring. Because he had someone else. Someone he was spending $90,000 on while I ate ramen. We need to hire a private investigator, Betty said. I can't afford that. I can. Consider it an early birthday present. We need to know what's really going on. Betty hired an investigator the next day. Marcus Webb, former police detective, specialized in marital cases. He charged $1,500 for a 2-week investigation. Betty paid it without blinking. Marcus started following Robert on Thursday. Robert came home from Phoenix Friday afternoon. Tanned, relaxed, in a good mood. How was your trip? I asked. My voice sounded normal. Calm. I'd spent 3 days practicing normal. Fine. Boring conference stuff. Same old thing. Learn anything new? Not really. Just networking. Keeping up connections. Lies. All of it lies. I could see it now. The casual way he dismissed the trip. The lack of details. The way he didn't even pretend to include me in his life anymore. Marcus called Betty on Tuesday. 1 week into the investigation, she came to my house. We sat in my kitchen. She looked serious. Marcus found something. It's not just an affair, Maggie. It's worse. How much worse? He wants to meet with both of us. Tomorrow. Can you do that? Robert will be at the office. Perfect. Tomorrow at 10. Marcus's office. I didn't sleep that night. Lay in bed next to Robert. This man I'd trusted for 41 years. This stranger who was spending money I didn't know we had while I starved, while I disappeared, while I believed every lie he told. Tomorrow I'd learn the truth. And something told me the truth was going to destroy everything I thought I knew. But maybe that was good. Maybe everything I thought I knew deserved to be destroyed. Maybe it was time to stop being grateful for crumbs. Stop being the good wife who never questioned anything. Maybe it was time to get angry. Marcus Webb's office was in a small building in Hopkins. Plain. Unremarkable. The kind of place you'd never notice driving by. Betty and I sat in his waiting room Wednesday morning. I couldn't stop shaking. Whatever he found, we'll deal with it, Betty said. She held my hand. You're not alone. Marcus called us into his office at 10 sharp. He was 55. Gray hair, serious eyes, former Minneapolis police detective. He'd seen everything, but even he looked uncomfortable with what he had to tell me. Mrs. Thompson, I'm going to be direct. What I found is extensive, and it's going to be difficult to hear. Are you ready? Yes, he opened a file, pulled out photographs, surveillance images. My husband Robert with a woman. Not just any woman. Young, blonde, pretty. They were having lunch at a restaurant in downtown Minneapolis. His hand was on hers across the table. This is Amber Patterson, age 45. She's the office manager at your husband's CPA firm. They've been involved for approximately 3 years. Since late 2021. 3 years. While I was losing weight, becoming malnourished, eating ramen, he was with her. Marcus showed me more photos. Robert and Amber at the St. Regis in Phoenix, entering together, leaving together the next morning. Robert and Amber at Nordstrom, him watching while she tried on clothes. Him paying with the credit card I'd found. The $80,000 you discovered? That's just the past 6 months. I pulled records going back 3 years. Your husband has spent approximately $270,000 on Ms. Patterson. Jewelry, clothes, trips. He pays her rent. $1,500 a month for an upgraded apartment in Uptown. He bought her a car in 2022. A BMW, $35,000 cash. $270,000 on his mistress. While telling me we were on a fixed income. While giving me $100 a week. While I ate ramen and lost 23 pounds. There's more, Marcus said. And this is where it gets complicated. I found evidence of hidden assets. Significant hidden assets. What kind of assets? Offshore accounts. Specifically, an account in the Cayman Islands. I have a contact who specializes in financial forensics. She found wire transfers. Your husband has been moving money offshore for approximately 15 years. Systematic transfers, 20 to 30,000 every few months. Structured to avoid reporting requirements. Betty leaned forward. How much money are we talking about? Based on the transfers I can track, conservatively $3.8 million. Possibly more, the room tilted. I couldn't breathe. $3.8 million. Hidden offshore, for 15 years, while he told me we had to be careful, while I couldn't afford groceries, while I was malnourished. That's tax evasion, Betty said. That's a federal crime. Yes, it is. Mrs. Thompson, your husband has been systematically hiding income and assets. Not reporting it to the IRS. Moving it to the Cayman Islands, where it can't be easily traced or taxed. This isn't just an affair. This is financial fraud on a massive scale. I couldn't speak. Couldn't process. 41 years I trusted him completely. Never questioned. Never looked. And he'd been stealing. Lying. Hiding millions while I starved. Marcus pulled out more documents. Bank statements. Wire transfer records. Account numbers. A paper trail of Robert's lies. I have copies of everything. Your husband thinks this is hidden. But it's not. Not anymore. The question is what you want to do with this information. What can she do? Betty asked. She can file for divorce. With evidence of hidden assets, she's entitled to half. Approximately $1.9 million from the offshore account alone, plus half of all other marital assets. The house, his retirement accounts, the business. She's looking at close to $3 million total. $3 million. I had $3 million I didn't know about. While eating ramen, she can also report him to the IRS. Tax evasion of this magnitude carries serious penalties, fines, possibly prison time. He'd lose his CPA license. His business, everything. Can she do both? Betty asked. Yes. Divorce and criminal referral are separate actions. She can pursue both simultaneously. I finally found my voice. He made me eat ramen. He told me we were broke, that we had to be careful. And he had almost $4 million hidden away. Yes, ma'am. He did, while spending hundreds of thousands on his mistress. Yes, ma'am. For 3 years, at least 3 years. The affair might be longer. That's just what I can definitively prove. I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the parking lot. Ordinary day, ordinary people going about ordinary lives, and my entire world had just exploded. Mrs. Thompson, Marcus said gently, I know this is overwhelming. Take time to process. But I want you to understand something. This isn't your fault. None of this is your fault. Your husband is a criminal. What he did to you is abuse. Financial abuse. Emotional abuse. And now you have the power to do something about it. Power. I hadn't had power in 41 years. I'd had allowances, permission, gratitude for scraps, but not power. Betty drove me home, made me tea, sat with me while I cried, not sad crying, angry crying. 41 years of rage coming out all at once. What do you want to do? Betty asked. I don't know. I need to think. Do you want to stay married to him? How can I? He's been lying to me for 15 years, maybe longer, having an affair for 3 years, spending money on her while I starved. How do I come back from that? You don't. You leave. You take half his money and you start over. I'm 68 years old. Too old to start over. Says who? Robert? The man who's been lying to you for decades? Don't let him define what you can and can't do. Not anymore. I went home. Robert was already there, making himself a sandwich in the kitchen. Turkey, cheese, tomato, good bread. The kind I couldn't afford with my $100 a week, but somehow always appeared in our refrigerator for him. How was your day? He asked. Casual, like he cared, like he wasn't a liar and a cheat and a criminal. Fine. What did you do? Errands. Coffee with Betty. That's nice. Hey, I'm going to Vegas this weekend. Continuing education seminar. Back Monday, Vegas, where Amber would be, where he'd spend thousands in hotels and restaurants and jewelry stores. While I ate ramen. Okay. He finished his sandwich, went to his study, closed the door, left me standing in the kitchen with knowledge that was burning a hole through me. I had a choice to make. Stay and pretend I didn't know, keep eating ramen, keep disappearing, keep being grateful for $100 a week while he hid millions, or leave, fight, take what was legally mine, report him for what he'd done, blow up 41 years of lies and start over at 68. I thought about Dr. Morrison, about the concern in her eyes, about her telling me this was abuse. I thought about Betty, about her strength, her independence, her life after divorce. I thought about Marcus Webb's photos. Robert and Amber holding hands, Robert paying for her clothes, Robert living a completely different life while I ate noodles. I thought about $3.8 million in the Cayman Islands, money I could have used for food, for health, for a life hidden away so I'd stay small and grateful and controllable, and I got angry. Really, truly angry. For the first time in 41 years, Robert thought I was too old, too beaten down, too dependent, too scared to leave, too grateful for scraps to ever ask for the whole meal. He was wrong. I picked up my phone, called the number Marcus had given me. An attorney, Angela Rodriguez, specialist in high asset divorces and elder financial abuse. Ms. Rodriguez, my name is Margaret Thompson. I need to file for divorce, and I need to destroy my husband. On the other end of the line, Angela laughed. Mrs. Thompson, I think we're going to get along just fine. Let's talk about how to take everything he has. I met Angela Rodriguez on Friday morning at her office in downtown Minneapolis. Fauché Tower, 32nd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. The kind of office that radiated competence and power. Angela was 58. Sharp suit, sharper eyes. She'd been practicing family law for 30 years. Specialized in high-net-worth divorces and financial abuse cases. Her reputation was formidable. When wealthy men tried to hide assets, Angela found them and took half. Mrs. Thompson, tell me everything, I told her. 41 years of marriage. The allowance. The ramen. The weight loss. Dr. Morrison's concern. The credit card statements. Marcus Webb's investigation. The affair. Amber. The $270,000. And the offshore account. $3.8 million in the Cayman Islands. Angela took notes. Didn't interrupt. When I finished, she looked up. Mrs. Thompson, your husband has committed multiple crimes. Tax evasion, fraud, financial elder abuse. This isn't just a divorce. This is a criminal case waiting to happen. Can we use that? In the divorce? Absolutely. Minnesota is a no-fault divorce state, so we don't need to prove adultery or abuse to dissolve the marriage. But we absolutely use it for asset division and spousal maintenance. A judge is going to be very interested in the fact that your husband hid millions while giving you $100 a week. How much can I get? Minnesota is an equitable distribution state. That means marital assets are divided fairly, which usually means 50-50. The offshore account is marital property. Acquired during the marriage, you're entitled to half, $1.9 million. The house is also marital property. What's it worth? I don't know. Robert handles everything. We'll get an appraisal. I'm guessing around 800,000 for a house in Edina. That's another 400,000 for you. His retirement accounts? I don't know what he has. We'll find out. In discovery, he has to disclose everything. Every account. Every asset. Every penny. And if he lies, that's perjury. More criminal exposure. What about the business? His CPA firm? Also marital property. Even though a managing partner runs it now, Robert still draws income. We'll have it valued. You're entitled to half the value or a share of future income. Either way, you're looking at significant money. How much total? Angela did quick math on a legal pad. Conservative estimate? $3 million. Possibly more depending on what else we find. $3 million. I'd been eating ramen, skipping meals, losing weight. And I had $3 million I didn't know about. There's something else, Angela said. Spousal maintenance. What we used to call alimony. You've been married 41 years. You stopped working in 1984 at your husband's request. You have no income, no retirement of your own, no way to support yourself. A judge will absolutely award you maintenance. How much? Depends on Robert's income. What does he make annually? I don't know. He never tells me, then we find out. But if he's hiding millions offshore and spending hundreds of thousands on a mistress, he's making serious money. I'd estimate we can get you 8 to 10,000 a month. Maybe more. 10,000 a month. I'd been living on 400 a month. Less than 400 really, after household expenses. When can we file? Today. I'll prepare the petition this afternoon. We'll file Monday morning. Service of process Tuesday. Your husband will be served divorce papers at his office, in front of his employees, including Amber. Good. Angela smiled. You're angrier than you were when you walked in here. That's good. Angry women win divorces. Sad women get taken advantage of. Stay angry. We spent 3 hours going through everything. Angela asked for documents. I gave her the credit card statements. Marcus Webb's report. Medical records from Dr. Morrison showing the weight loss and malnutrition. Everything that proved what Robert had done. One more thing, Angela said. The IRS, are you going to report him? Should I? That's your decision. Reporting him won't directly benefit the divorce, but it will hurt him significantly. Penalties, possible prison, loss of his CPA license. His business would collapse. He'd have nothing left, except what the court awards me. Exactly. So there's a strategic question. Do we go nuclear now? Or wait until after the divorce is settled? If we report now, it could delay the divorce while criminal proceedings happen. If we wait, we get your money first, then destroy him after. I thought about Robert, about the sandwich he'd made with good bread, about Vegas this weekend with Amber, about $3.8 million while I ate noodles. Wait, I said. Get my money first. Then I'll decide about the IRS. Smart. Let's secure your financial future. Then you can choose how much you want to burn his world down. Angela filed the petition on Monday, April 1st. Perfect timing. April Fool's Day. Though nothing about this was a joke, the petition was thorough. Requested dissolution of marriage after 41 years. Requested equitable division of all marital assets, specifically including offshore accounts. Requested spousal maintenance. Requested attorney's fees. And included an emergency motion freezing all assets so Robert couldn't move money or hide anything else. Robert was served on Tuesday, April 2nd. At his office, 10 a.m., a process server walked into his CPA firm, asked for Robert Thompson, handed him the papers in front of his receptionist, his staff, and Amber. I wasn't there, but Marcus Webb was, watching from across the street. He called me 20 minutes later. It's done. He's been served. You should have seen his face. Shock, confusion, then panic. He read the petition right there in the lobby, went white as a sheet, started yelling for Amber. She came out. He showed her the papers. She looked terrified. Did he say anything? Just how did she find out over and over? Then he went into his office, slammed the door. I could hear him yelling through the windows. Robert called me 30 minutes later. I was home, drinking tea. Betty was with me. For moral support, when my phone rang, Betty squeezed my hand. Answer it. Stay strong, I answered. Hello? Margaret, what the hell is this? Robert's voice was furious, shaking. Divorce papers. I'm divorcing you. After 41 years? You can't be serious. This is insane. I'm completely serious. Why? What did I do? We've had a good marriage. A good life. You can't just throw that away? A good marriage? Robert, you've been having an affair for 3 years. spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on your mistress while giving me $100 a week. I've been eating ramen noodles while you bought Amber a BMW. Silence. Complete silence. Then, how did you find out? Does it matter? I know. I know about Amber. I know about the $270,000. I know everything. Margaret, I can explain. It's not what you think. Then what is it? Explain how spending money on another woman while your wife is malnourished is not what I think. You're malnourished? That's ridiculous. You're fine. I've lost 23 pounds in 3 years. My doctor says I have signs of malnutrition because I can't afford enough food on $100 a week while you were spending thousands on Amber. That's not my fault. You should have asked for more money if you needed it. I did ask. You said we were on a fixed income, that we had to be careful. You lied. I didn't lie. We do have to be careful with day-to-day expenses. But not with Amber? Not with jewelry and hotels and cars? Robert, I know about the offshore account too. The $3.8 million in the Cayman Islands. Don't bother denying it. Another silence. Longer this time. When Robert spoke again, his voice was different. Cold. Calculating. You can't prove that. Yes, I can. I have wire transfer records. Account numbers. Everything. And my attorney is very good at finding hidden assets. You're not as smart as you think you are. Your attorney? You hired an attorney already? How are you paying for that? You don't have any money. I found a way. Turns out when you tell people your husband has been financially abusing you for 40 years, they want to help. Financial abuse? Don't be dramatic. I provided for you. You had everything you needed. Everything I needed? Robert, I was eating ramen for dinner, skipping meals, losing weight, while you had millions, while you spent hundreds of thousands on another woman. That's not providing. That's abuse. You're being manipulated. Someone's putting these ideas in your head. That Betty woman. She's always hated me. Betty opened my eyes. But you did this. You chose to lie, to cheat, to hide money, to let me starve while you lived like a king. This is all you. Margaret, listen to me. If you go through with this, you're going to regret it. You're 68 years old. You have no job, no skills, no way to support yourself. You need me. Don't do something stupid. There it was. The threat. The reminder that I was old, useless, dependent, that I should be grateful he tolerated me at all. But I wasn't useless. I was entitled to half of everything, $3 million. And I had an attorney who was going to make sure I got every penny. Robert, I don't need you. I never needed you. I just thought I did because you spent 40 years making me believe I was nothing without you. But I'm done believing that. See you in court. I hung up. My hands were shaking. But not from fear. From adrenaline. From power. From saying what I'd wanted to say for decades. Betty was crying. Happy crying. That was perfect. You were perfect. I'm scared. Of course you are. But you're also brave. And you're doing the right thing. My phone rang again. Robert, I didn't answer. It rang 5 more times that afternoon. I didn't answer any of them. He left voicemails, angry, then pleading, then threatening. I deleted them all. This was really happening. After 41 years, I was leaving, fighting, taking what was mine, and Robert was about to learn that the quiet, grateful wife he'd ignored for decades was a lot stronger than he'd ever imagined. The first court hearing was May 15th at Hennepin County Family Court. Temporary orders. Robert's attorney was Richard Palmer, expensive, slick, the kind of lawyer who defended wealthy men trying to keep their money. Angela had warned me. Palmer will try to paint you as a gold digger, a woman who contributed nothing, who deserves nothing. Don't react. Just sit there and look dignified. Robert sat across the courtroom. He'd lost weight, looked tired, good. He wouldn't look at me, just stared straight ahead while his attorney talked. Palmer went first. Painted Robert as a hard-working man who'd provided everything for 41 years. A dedicated husband, a generous father, a man who'd given me a comfortable life. Your Honor, Mrs. Thompson had no job, no income. She contributed nothing financially to this marriage. She lived a life of leisure while my client worked 70-hour weeks building a successful business. Now she wants to take half of everything he earned. That's not equitable. That's exploitation. Angela stood, calm, controlled, deadly. Your Honor? Mrs. Thompson stopped working in 1984 at her husband's request so she could raise their children and manage their household. For 41 years, she performed unpaid labor that allowed Mr. Thompson to build his career without domestic responsibilities. That's not leisure. That's partnership. and Minnesota law recognizes homemaking as a contribution to marital assets. She pulled out documents. Dr. Morrison's medical records, the weight loss, the malnutrition, photos of me from 3 years ago versus now. The difference was shocking. Furthermore, Your Honor, while Mrs. Thompson was given $100 weekly for all household expenses, Mr. Thompson was spending hundreds of thousands on his mistress. He paid her rent, bought her a car, took her on trips, all while his wife lost 23 pounds due to inadequate nutrition. Judge Sandra Martinez was 62. She'd heard everything in 30 years on the bench, but even she looked shocked. Mr. Palmer, is your client prepared to address these allegations? Palmer looked uncomfortable. Your Honor, my client denies having a mistress. These are baseless accusations designed to— I have photographs, Your Honor. Angela handed copies to the judge. Robert and Amber at restaurants, hotels, shopping. Private investigator surveillance. Credit card statements showing $270,000 in charges over 3 years. All for Ms. Amber Patterson, Mr. Thompson's office manager. Robert's face went red. Palmer whispered urgently to him. Judge Martinez studied the photos. Mr. Thompson, do you deny having a relationship with this woman? Robert stood. Your Honor, I don't see how my personal life is relevant to asset division. It's relevant when you're spending marital assets on an extramarital affair while claiming poverty in divorce proceedings. Answer the question. Do you deny it? No, Your Honor, I don't deny it. The courtroom was silent. Robert had just admitted the affair under oath. No going back now, Angela continued. Your Honor, there's also the matter of hidden assets. Mr. Thompson has approximately $3.8 million in an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Wire transfers over 15 years, unreported to the IRS. Mrs. Thompson knew nothing about this account until recently. Palmer jumped up. Your Honor, that's unsubstantiated. My client has disclosed all assets in his financial affidavit. Then where's the Cayman account? Angela asked. Because I have wire transfer records showing systematic transfers from Mr. Thompson's business account to an offshore entity. Either he disclosed it and we somehow missed it, or he committed perjury in his financial affidavit. Judge Martinez looked at Palmer. Mr. Palmer, does your client have an offshore account? Palmer and Robert whispered. Palmer's face showed he was learning this for the first time. He looked furious. Your Honor, I need to confer with my client. I was not aware of any offshore accounts. That's concerning. Mr. Palmer, I'm ordering full financial discovery. Mr. Thompson will provide all bank statements, wire transfers, and account information for the past 15 years. If I find he lied in his financial affidavit, there will be serious consequences. This hearing is continued for 30 days. In the meantime, I'm granting the following temporary orders. She read from her notes. All marital accounts frozen. Robert to pay spousal support of $5,000 per month immediately. Robert to pay Angela's attorney fees. Robert prohibited from moving any assets. Robert looked sick. $5,000 a month. After 41 years of giving me $100 a week, he'd have to give me actual money. We left the courthouse. Angela was pleased. That went better than expected. He admitted the affair, got caught lying about assets. The judge is pissed. We're in a very strong position. What happens next? Discovery. He has to turn over everything. When we prove the offshore account exists and he didn't disclose it, the judge will be even angrier. Judges hate being lied to. This is good for us. That night, Robert called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Angry, desperate. You're destroying me, Margaret. Everything I built, everything I worked for. Is this what you want? To ruin me? I deleted it. Because yes, that was exactly what I wanted. Discovery destroyed Robert. Every account, every transfer, every lie exposed. The offshore account was real. $3.8 million. 15 years of tax evasion. Wire transfers matching exactly what Marcus had found. Palmer was furious. His client had lied to him, made him look incompetent in court. He called Angela in early June. My client wants to settle. He can't afford this to go to trial. The IRS exposure alone will bankrupt him. Angela told me over coffee. He's scared. Wants to offer you a deal before you report him to the IRS. What's the offer? $2.2 million. Half the offshore account plus your share of other assets. Spousal maintenance of $6,000 monthly for life. He keeps the business. $2.2 million. $6,000 a month. After eating ramen, I want more. We can push. You're entitled to half of everything. That's closer to 3 million total. Push. Palmer came back 3 days later. 2.8 million. 7,000 monthly. Robert would sell the house. Split proceeds. Give me everything the court would award anyway. Just to avoid IRS reporting. Take it, Angela advised. You win. He loses everything. His marriage. His mistress. His hidden money. This is total victory. I signed the settlement agreement June 20th. 41 years of marriage ended on paper. Robert transferred $2.8 million to my account. Set up automatic payments of $7,000 monthly. I was 68 years old, divorced, and suddenly wealthy beyond anything I'd imagined. Robert's business collapsed within weeks. Amber left him. Word spread about the affair, the hidden money. Clients left. His reputation destroyed. He sold the CPA firm for pennies. Moved to a small apartment. Broke. I bought a beautiful condo in downtown Minneapolis, overlooking the Mississippi River. All mine. Paid cash. Betty helped me decorate. We laughed. Drank wine. Celebrated freedom. You did it, she said. You got everything. Not everything. I got what was always mine. He just hid it for 41 years. I never reported him to the IRS. Didn't need to. The settlement was punishment enough. He lost everything that mattered. Money, reputation, power, and I gained everything I'd been denied. Independence, security, myself. It's October 2025 now. 16 months since that doctor's appointment changed everything. 14 months since I discovered the truth. 10 months since my divorce was finalized. I'm 70 years old, and I'm living a life I never imagined possible. I live in a beautiful 2-bedroom condo on the 23rd floor of a building in downtown Minneapolis. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Mississippi River. A kitchen with appliances I actually know how to use. A refrigerator full of real food. Not ramen, not day-old bread. Actual groceries. I eat 3 meals a day now. Good meals. Healthy meals. I've gained back the weight I lost. My doctor is thrilled. My energy is back. My hair is healthier. I look like myself again. Or maybe I look like someone I never got to be until now. The $7,000 arrives in my account on the 1st of every month. Automatic transfer from Robert's account to mine. Every month I see that notification and I smile. Because it's not about the money anymore. It's about the justice. The acknowledgement that 41 years of my life had value. That I wasn't just a burden. I was a partner. And partners deserve their share. I joined a book club. Made new friends. Women in their 60s and 70s who have lives and opinions and stories. We meet twice a month at a coffee shop in Uptown. I order lattes now. Expensive ones. With caramel. I don't even look at the price. Betty and I have lunch every week. Sometimes twice. We talk about everything. Travel plans, books, politics, life. She was right about everything 15 years ago. I wish I'd listened sooner. But I listened eventually. That's what matters. My children struggled with the divorce at first. Especially Brian. He idolized his father. Couldn't believe Robert had done what I accused him of. Thought I was being vindictive, cruel.